Good afternoon. So I've seen a lot of posts on TikTok and Facebook and whatnot about mental health awareness month, and I I have a couple of physical disabilities, which I post about those all the time, but I also have a couple of mental health problems, conditions, whichever way you like to put it. So I have depression and anxiety, which is they're both medicated quite strongly as well. And what I want to say is that when I first started having sort of weird feelings about, how I felt, mentally, and how my mood was and things like that, it came from a place of my diagnosis of having ankylosing spondylitis not so long before that. So pain had built up over a period of time, and I was struggling with that, unmedicated. Then, got medicated, for the pain. But it wasn't quite enough for quite a while, until I hit biologics. So what had actually happened was, it was like putting a plaster on a broken leg. It was not really doing enough, but there was something there, just to kind of bring it down a little bit. Now, having chronic pain takes its toll, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so mentally, I didn't think there's anything wrong. Up until that point, I was quite resilient. I thought I could, handle a lot, take a lot on my shoulders and things like that. It turns out that I couldn't. With regards to pain, I mean, chronic pain is, it's on another level. If you've got, acute pain and, that then goes away, it does take its toll mentally, but there is an end point to it. With chronic pain, there is no end point. You know that that's going to go on and on and on. And I guess it kind of slowly dawned on me that this was going to be forever. And slowly but surely, those mental problems built up. I was in a flare-up physically as well, which didn't help. And then one day, this was all still while I was working, and one day I sat at my desk and I was like, okay, I just need to take 5 minutes away and sit in a room alone. So there was like a meeting room just around the corner, and it had, it was the smallest meeting room. It had no windows, it just had the door, and it was enclosed, fully enclosed. And so all soundproof, so you couldn't hear anything going on in the background or anything like that outside. Went in there, closed the door, and I sat on the floor. What I thought was going to take 5 minutes, I was in there for about 2 hours. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was, I don't know whether it was like, hang on a minute, I've got a realization that something's happening to me. So the first thing that I did was I called my wife, and I remember these words, and they will stay with me until the day I die, and I'm sure they'll stay with her until the day I die. I've never said anything like it before or since. And I just, she picked up the phone. She said, "Is everything all right?" Because I never phone anybody. And I just said, "I think there's something wrong with me." And that was it. That was the kind of life-changing moment. she was, you know, she asked me to, you know, talk through things with her, which I did. And she just said, we need to get you some help now. And I said, okay, well, luckily my workplace had a, like a free, employee help kind of, program where you could just pick up a phone and literally talk about anything and they could put you through to anybody else. And I rang that and stayed on the phone with them for quite a while. They said that I should really speak to, you know, the doctor to get something maybe prescribed. I was like, okay. And a lot of this was going in, and I was just a little bit like stunned. I'd stunned myself. It was very odd. I kind of like, the best way to describe it was kind of like an out of body experience. You know, you're looking at yourself and you know it's you doing it, but at the same time it doesn't feel that it's you. It's really odd, or it was really odd for me. I don't know whether anybody else has had that. And I went through that, and yeah, they suggested I go to the doctors, and we had helpline for private doctors. So I spoke to one of them. They said, okay, to get a prescription, you know, that's not a problem, we can sort you out. But if it's, you know, for a chronic, you know, ongoing prescription, you need to see your GP. So got a GP appointment. Those people that say you can't get a GP appointment, yeah, you can. 8 o'clock, ring on the dot, and you get a GP appointment that day. So I got one the very next day. Went and saw them, and they said, okay, yeah, you're in a state, an absolute state. And they said, okay, did you know that with your diagnosis through the NHS that you get free psychological appointments? And I was like, oh, okay. Tell me more. So I attended those. I've got 6 of those. And then after that, I carried on privately paying myself, you know, through, you know, what, you know, money was obviously dwindling down because I was not working as much at that point. If not, you know, it went all the way down to nothing. But I found it important, so I carried on with it. Yeah, they prescribed me a antidepressant. It knocked me for 6. It didn't like it at all, so I came off it, then went on another one, and then they said, okay, there's some serious issues that you need to deal with from the psychology. They referred me to a psychiatrist as well, so I had a couple of sessions with him, and it was him that actually diagnosed the depression and anxiety, and it was at a severe level. It wasn't just like, oh, you're having a little bit of an episode or something like that. It was, you know, diagnosed as severe something else depression and anxiety. So yeah, that's my little story about mental health. Now I'm still on the medication. I still talk to the psychologist, and I talk to you guys as well, which actually really, really helps. I mean, there are some oddbods that comment, you know, not so well on here, but, you know, I try to brush those aside and carry on as normal. But we get those everywhere. But I don't want to finish on that. I want to finish on, if you've got a problem, ask for help. Simple as that. Say, I think I have a problem. Can someone help me? Yep. There's no shame or lack of pride in just asking. Okay. And I'll see you later.